As part of my weekly review, I have a couple perspectives that I like to go through after I've updated all of the projects or I've reviewed everything in my entire system. And the whole point behind these two are to just kind of give me a higher level overview of what it is that I have going on and just make sure that I'm not just mindlessly going through and working on projects that I shouldn't be. The first one of these two is called stalled, and I really shouldn't have anything show up in this, but every once in a while I do because I missed it whenever I was going through the review cycle. Because as I go through the review perspective during my weekly review, if I run across an item or a project that doesn't have any tasks assigned to it, I'll assign them at that point. However, there are times when I go through that whole process and I either hit a keyboard shortcut too quick or I just didn't feel like assigning it at that time. I don't know why, but every once in a while I do see one here. So what this perspective is it simply shows me the projects that don't have any next actions assigned to them. So it allows me to see them so that way I can do something about it. So if I look at the view for this, the items that I have changed here, so I have it set to use the project hierarchy. I also have it grouped by the folder, so that's the one setting I've changed there. I left it unsorted. I'm using the normal layout from the preferences. If we go down to the bottom here, I have the filter projects setting set to stalled. That's the only other thing other than the grouping setting that I have changed here. And what this effectively shows us is a list of any project without a next action on it. That's all it is. That way you can make sure that everything is up to date and you don't have something sitting out there that doesn't have a task assigned to it. Now, once I've gone through that stalled projects perspective, I typically move over to the old projects perspective. So if we switch over to that, this is what that looks like. And let's again go into the settings for this perspective, just so we can get a feel for what's going on with it. Again, this uses the project hierarchy. In this case, I've grouped my projects by their added date. So OmniFocus will group all of the projects based on the time frame that they were added to the system. If you scroll down through here, there's nothing else changed. The only thing that's edited in this perspective outside of the default settings is simply that grouping and the project hierarchy. So those are the only two edited for it. So it's pretty simple. It's a pretty basic perspective to look at. And as you can see in the main screen there, I've got the ones that I've added today, the ones I've added within the last month. If you have your system running for quite some time, you will see within the last 6 months, within the last year, over a year, and it's those ones that are over a year that are a bit humbling to see that they've been in your system for a long time. And that's the main reason I look at this, is to help me understand which ones in my entire system have I been putting off. It forces you to be honest with yourself and make sure that you don't just keep these things around for no reason. It makes you stop and think about, okay, how long have I had these things around? Because it's hard to see how long you've been putting something off until you can actually put a time frame on it. So that's one of the benefits of having all of your projects in a system like OmniFocus, is it does have some of these dates sitting in the background, so you can always do some searches and filterings by those dates. So once I've gone through the review cycle, again, I go to the stalled perspective, and then I go to this old projects perspective, just to make sure that I'm being honest with myself and that I know everything that's in my system is up to date and has me headed in the right direction.